Hey, it's Kevin Ward here, and I'm answering a great question from one of my challenge members on a multiple offer situation. They're representing the buyer. There's a multiple offers on the property. His clients have put in a offer that is $3,000 over list price, all cash, because most of the homes in the area are selling for above list price. And so the question is, the seller's agent notified me and is asking for the highest and best offer by a certain deadline. The agent's hard to get a hold of by phone, and I've only communicated with the listing agent by email. And I'm assuming that's because the other agent can't get a hold of him. What questions can I ask to find out if we are the highest offer they have? So here's a question, and this is the whole thing. If it's a good listing agent, they're not going to give it away. They're going to leverage it to get the highest and best offer. The way you do that when you're the listing agent is, it's a great question. Obviously, I can't tell you that. I mean, just to let your client know, it's going to take a great offer to get this property. And that when you got multiple offers, you got all the leverage in the world. And so, just tell your seller. So here's what you tell a listing. Here's what, if you're the listing agent, you tell a buyer's agent. And this is also basically what you tell your buyer. And that is, just tell your buyer to make sure they bring an offer that if they don't get it, they are okay with that, which means that they're bringing the best offer, that there's going to be no regrets. If they get it, they're glad they got it. But if they don't get it, they're not going to be beating themselves up for missing it. Does that make sense? And you can tell that you can literally coach a buyer's agent how to talk to their buyer to get them to bring the best offer without freaking out. So that's basically what you tell your buyer, and that's what you can tell a buyer's agent. So how do you deal with this with a listing agent? Ask them the question. So how good are the offers? And you're just feeling them out. And depending on the agent, they're going to tell you or not tell you. So my client really, really wants this property. What is it going to take for us to be able to get the property? And then listen. And they're going to tell you or they're not going to tell you. You can just be totally straightforward. Can you tell me what it would take right now for us to write an offer that would get it? And, of course, if they're waiting for a deadline at 3 o'clock, then, they may not know what the highest and best is. Now, I've seen buyer's agents try the strategy of whatever your best offer is, my buyer will beat it by $1,000 and put that in writing. So you could basically say something like the best offer plus $1,000. If your buyer's willing to go for that, and then you got to check with your broker, with your attorney to make sure that's illegal. But I have seen that done. The other thing is with every good offer, have the buyer write their story. Write a letter to the seller explaining their story, basically why they love this house so much, why it's the perfect home for them, and how excited they are about this being their new home and so forth. Because sellers, at the bottom end of the day, a lot of times will go with the buyer that they like the most, that they feel the best about, even especially if their offers are close. And they'll even sometimes go with not the best offer from a financial standpoint if they really feel like we want this couple, or we want this person, or we want this family to have this property, to have our home, and they'll do that. So bring in the emotion, not just the dollars. The emotion is very, very powerful. And then, let's see, the last thing I was going to say is, when you're communicating with your buyer, let them know, here's how they need to write the offer. You write an offer that is your highest and best, which means if you get the house, you're not going to be upset and go like, we overpaid. I can't believe we did that. So you need to write an offer that's not so high for the buyer. It's not so high that you're mad at yourself for getting it. At the same time, you don't want to write it so low that if you don't get the house, you're going to be mad. In other words, if you don't get it, you're going to, I knew we should have come in higher. And then you find out that it was actually the people that bought it for only like $1,200 more than your offer, and you're going like, if I'd have known, I'd have paid more. Well, then you should pay more now. If your offer gets beat by $1,000, are you going to be okay with that? If not, what offer would make you feel great? That if you get it, you're like, yes, we got it. If you don't get it, you're going like, you know what? We gave it our best shot. We put our best foot forward, and we leave with no regrets because whoever did get it overpaid for it. And that's the way you position your buyer, and you help your buyer make the right decision to do it. Then you ask the other agent and get all the information you can. Hey, what's it going to take for my buyer? They really love this property. Tell them they want the property. You don't play hard to get when you're in a multiple offer situation and your buyer really wants it. You came in all cash, which is awesome. If you remove all contingencies, you got to disclaim all that to your buyer and let them know, hey, if you waive the contingencies, you're taking it as is, you're taking it regardless of appraisal, you're taking it regardless of condition and so forth. Check with have them say, you may want to talk to your attorney about this, but that may be what it would take, or that would definitely strengthen your offer. Be very careful about advising somebody to write an offer with no contingencies, because then they're left with no safety net, with no ripcord, no eject button in case something goes wrong, and they're going to blame you potentially for putting them in that situation. So you want to make sure that you're advising them on that, but you're educating them on that, but then you're letting them make the decision, and you're saying, that you just need to understand that if you get there with no contingencies, you're stuck. You're in it. Are you okay with that? You need to be clear on that so that they don't come back at you. Yeah, it's a complicated affair. It takes skill to be able to negotiate it, navigate it with your client and with the other side. But when you master it, it's awesome, and you help your clients get the result they want.